the weekend, MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell bitterly announced that he was pulling all of his MyPillow ads off of the conservative Salem radio network, one of the largest conservative outlets in the country. And as we all know, that is primarily, at this point, almost exclusively Mike Lindell's customer base. And he says, "To hell with it, Salem. I am done with you, and you can just deal with it." To which Salem replied, "Okay. I mean, what do you want us to say? We're not hurting for advertisers, so bye, I guess." Now, here's the official statement. This comes from Salem spokesperson Phil Boyce. Said this to the Daily Beast. "We're not upset. He has the right to do it if he wants to do that. There's no block on any of my hosts from talking about the Supreme Court or anything else. My hosts are not banned from talking about anything." The reason he added that part is because the reason Lindell was pulling his ads off the Salem radio network is because he says the hosts have been silenced from talking about his non-existent voter fraud that he insists still exists, even though he's been given multiple different opportunities to present evidence and has failed to do so every single time. But the reason he did it again this past weekend was because they weren't covering his 96-hour telethon, which is basically what it became, about voter fraud. They weren't talking about his Supreme Court case, so he assumed that it's because they had been silenced by the network. So now you don't get your hands on that sweet, sweet MyPillow money that Mike Lindell is probably better off holding on to at this point. His products have been pulled from store shelves across the country over the past year. Some of the biggest bedding retailers here in the United States are no longer doing business with Mike Lindell. And off and on throughout the year, that has hurt him. There's been times when he's still making as much money as he had the previous years, but then other times sales drop below what they were. So overall, it is a net negative for MyPillow guy to not be in those stores. And of course, you've alienated, 70% of the country? Maybe 67%? When you consider the fact that roughly 33% of Americans are registered Republicans, 33, 34, I think was the latest count. And you're only pandering to that bunch, like that's your only audience, and you've already said, "I'm not going to run ads on Fox News." Now you're pulling ads off of Salem. Are you really going to be able to get enough revenue off Newsmax and One America? Or are you even still advertising on Newsmax? I know that was an issue not that long ago. But Mike, you have to understand, this isn't because anybody is being silenced. This isn't because there's orders coming from above to shut you down. It's because you're a crackpot. That's why they're not covering your issues. And those of us who do cover your issues aren't doing it to show that you're making progress in your case. We're doing it to mock you. I mean, let's be real. This is 100% the purpose of things like this, to mock you, to make fun of you. And of course, to rebuke your claims that the 2020 election was stolen. But unfortunately, you haven't put forward any evidence that we can sit there, comb through, and prove to you is fake. Because that's how terrible you are at this conspiracy. Give us something to work with at least, right? Make it a little challenging for us, but you can't even do that. So go ahead, take your anger out on conservative media. All you're doing is costing yourself more money that, again, based on the lawsuits you're facing, you probably need as much money as you can get right now because things aren't looking good with those lawsuits.